When you become a YouTube member, you're going to get all of the videos that everyone else gets, but you're also going to get special weekly report videos, special member-only how-to videos, and we're going to make sure that your questions get answered as soon as they come in. Hey guys, it's me, Tom. Today is August 12th. Hope everyone's doing well, enjoying these markets. I still can't believe they're so freaking high. We're live 1 p.m. So if you have any, hey, see you scrapping. Loving these copper prices while you can. I mean, steel is no longer the meal, as one of our followers is out there. Copper is really kicking some serious butt right now. Tell me something good, Tom. I'm going to try to tie this. Let's just talk about copper first and foremost. If anyone's ever interested, though, we have members only videos and sections and weekly reports that we send out to members only. So check those things out. They get first access to a lot of our videos. They get other information that we don't post on our weekly things. But let's talk about copper prices, because I mean, here we are. Let's just call it the middle of August, and I can't believe that we've hit all-time high prices. Last week, I woke up real early one morning. Copper was trading around 685 Thursday morning. Ended up down a little bit that day to like 674. But here we are at a trading level of $6.63 a pound. Bear Bright prices, we've seen reports from 530 to 580 per pound. My yard's paying 575 per pound this week. Unbelievably high prices. And as much as I've talked over the last few weeks and months about when prices go up, some of the spreads widen. Yeah, they have widened, but not like 10 or 15 cents. It's been like 3 to 5 cents widening, which has really allowed scrap yards to continue to have much higher prices than I would have expected, which is great for you because these prices are like crazy to me. We see a customer come in with 100 pounds of Bear Bright and walk out with almost $600. That's just so great. If we talked about this 3, 4, 5 years ago, everyone would say, oh, I'm going to hold on. And a lot of you know my opinions on things. I get things in and I get things out. And I have a different opinion from a scrapyard dealer versus a scrapper. So I try to give you what my opinions and feelings are, but I don't see these copper prices having big pullbacks. We look back into March when the conflict with Iran started. Markets went down to like 525, 540 on a trading level and zipped right back up. And last week hit all-time record highs 2 or 3 days in a row. The demand for copper, electrification, AI build out, data center growth is exploding. And while this isn't like a financial podcast or kind of like, report, when I look at these numbers and I see the Bank of America putting out 250 billion loans for AI build outs, when I see Google issuing $80 billion in stock, when I see Intel offering up 20 billion in stock and then that increased to 100 billion in stock, when I see the number of dollars that are being raised, I just see dollar signs going up for copper. In fact, I can now see a reality where we hit $7 a pound trading this year. Now, also wouldn't shock me if we went down to $6 a pound, especially if we don't see any ending in sight with the conflict in Iran. Energy prices continue to be at escalated rates. And a lot of what I'm basing my info off of is based off of those things. Where the energy price is going to be going. Where's the electrification and where's the continued use of copper going? And when I drive down the highway and I see warehouses popping up, and one thing that was interesting, I listen to a lot of politics, and a lot of politicians in different states, whether it's for governors or senators seats, they're like, oh, we want to put a 1-year moratorium or a pause on AI data centers being built in our state. Well, that's because the state may not have enough electricity. They may not want the amount of water that's going to be consumed by these data centers. But then you see other states, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, having major build outs and demand for energy and demand for connectivity. And when I talk about connectivity, you need copper wires. It's not just fiber, right? A lot of people talk about fiber, and that's how the speed of the internet can move through. But once you're talking about hardware, servers, racks, hard drives, GPUs, CPUs. You need copper for these things. That's the best transmitter for electricity, for data, and the power that goes into these different things. And fiber is unbelievably useful, but copper is needed. And we're looking at a build out over the next 12 to 48 months where it just could be increasing. Now, of course, we're going to get to a peak, right? You're going to have so many data centers that are built. You're going to have so much copper that's consumed, but I don't see that coming anytime this year, and I don't see that coming next year. Ward Bud said, yes, copper prices are awesome. I see Bar yesterday at Bear Bright at $5 per pound in Charleston, light copper 420. If you want to take a ride, we're at $5.75 for Bear Bright. CU Scrapping getting $5.40 for number 2 in Central Illinois. That's closer to a lot of mills. They have less transportation. Ward Bud, why is brass nickel coated? A lot of times it's for aesthetics. When you have that nickel color, which is a silver or chrome, if you will, they cover it on top. It's also to help reduce corrosion. Nickel is a corrosion. Brass is a copper bearing alloy. It could turn green like the Statue of Liberty if it's exposed to so much water. By putting that chrome or nickel plating on it, it's more of a resistant alloy that's out there. And you kind of think about this when it comes to construction. A lot of the studs that are inside of the walls are steel, but they're galvanized. They're coated with zinc, which is a little less corrosive, gives it another layer on the outside. So hopefully that helps. Ivan says, would I hold anything right now? Yeah, Carbide has been a real hit lately. They just announced last week, and this is one of the big things I want to talk about. So Ivan, thank you. Carbide right now, I'm looking at these markets, and we went from markets going absolutely bananas in March and April, and now we saw an export ban from the U.S. government put in effective, I believe, August 28th. Don't quote me on that, but it's the end of this month for 1 year, meaning no one in the country can export tungsten-based alloys because they claimed that it's a national security thing because they're needed in weapons. They're needed in aircraft when it comes to military, and they're needed for more manufacturing like wear parts. And we saw prices going down. I generally work with 4 or 5 different buyers, and out of those 5, 4 of them said we're not going to quote until September. So maybe for a few weeks we may want to hold. But if we're looking at base, regular, non-ferrous metals, I wouldn't hold 1 pound of copper. I wouldn't hold 1 pound of any type of insulated copper wire. And aluminum took a little bit of a pullback on more expensive items like 6063, 6061, your EC wire, which is your stripped aluminum wire. And if you haven't checked out some of our videos, our insulated aluminum wire videos showing you what to strip are some of the best gems. And it's such a great thing that you can put to the side and strip later. Unbelievable videos. Check out our YouTube page for that. Electric motors, Rodney asked, I'm seeing prices between 18 cents and 45 cents a pound for electric motors. All depends whether they're small, medium, or large, and what type of attachments are on there. But I would put, what's the price of what's? Sorry. That's okay. Wolf Creek says, what's dropping the price of steel? Demand. Where's the demand? I talk about this in my weekly report. Where's steel being used for? Now, traditionally, it was used in heavy industrial construction and the automotive fields. Third would probably in manufacturing. All right, well, let's talk about those for a second. Data centers are being built with concrete walls, concrete floors. All right, you need some rebar, and then you need the steel roof. But you think about a box, right? Only the roof is steel, and the walls inside are concrete. You don't need steel there. Automotives, what are we looking for? Higher miles per gallon. What helps do that? Lighter vehicles, more aluminum being applied, not only in the engines, but also into door panels, hoods, bumpers, support systems. So you see aluminum going in there. Manufacturing, when people are making goods, well, In the past, there was more steel in things like electronics, TVs, computer cases. Think of a traditional computer tower. So big, right? 6 pounds of steel. Well, my iPad has no steel, has aluminum, and probably has some of the same power that a computer tower would have in it. There's another decrease. I remember being in school as a kid, everyone had computer towers. Now my kids are in school and everyone has Chromebooks. So when you start to see where steel was being used versus where it is being used, that's what starts to give you the idea. And here's another question for you. Is there a lack of steel scrap right now? Hell no. There's demolitions going on all over the country. And I've talked extensively in the past about the power industry. You know, a coal power plant could have 30,000 tons of steel to produce, let's say, 1,000 megawatts of energy. Well, now they're producing 200, 300 megawatt gas generators and turbines that use 2,000 tons of steel or less. That's a humongous change. So now you can have 5 of those units at 10,000 tons opposed to 30,000 tons. And I'm probably overestimating the 2,000. There's another place that you're going to see a huge discrepancy.
Just supply and demand.
The supply and demand right now, there's so much supply from scrappers. You got humongous demolitions going on. I read about an old aluminum mill in Kentucky the other day that's getting demoed. What's going in its place? A data center. I read another one in Maryland. What's going in its place of an old coal facility? A data center.
There's no steel in that.
No steel. Think about what data centers have. Concrete walls, concrete floors, steel roofs. Thin steel roofs because they don't need to support anything. What's inside of a data center? Server cabinets. What are they being made of? Aluminum. Why? Because they hold less heat. Steel holds heat longer. It's still being used, but less heat is distributed through the steel opposed to the aluminum, and it's cheaper to cool down. I've been asked if I see wheels going up or down. I could see aluminum prices continuing their upward run. Aluminum prices took a little bit of a pullback a few months ago. First 3-4 months of the year, we saw a big increase. Then we saw the markets pulling themselves back. Sheet aluminum prices, 60 to 75 cents right now. Check out the app and report your prices. This way you can see if you're getting a fair shake. Not only can you see the national averages, but you can also go there and see what other people have gotten for their scrap. Now, aluminum wheels, different types of materials that are out there. And you're going to want to see chrome, non-chrome, truck, non-truck, clean, dirty. We have more videos on those too, so check those out on our channel. Micah says, what about the precious metals and catalytic converters? Where do you see it going? This one is a tough one to gauge. Great question. Platinum, palladium, and rhodium. Generally in gas engines, they primarily use a blend of all three. Diesel engines are using platinum and palladium. Now, rhodium prices at one point hit 30,000 an ounce. Today, they're 8,000. Platinum back in January, 2,500 an ounce, 1,700 an ounce today. Now, the demand for new vehicles has been mixed because the interest rates are higher, so people are borrowing more money and paying more in interest for their vehicles. Catalytic converters, though, you're going to need more material to be packed into the catalytic converters to help curb more emissions. So now once you start to see more hybrids out there, those catalytic converters are going to become packed with more materials, more expensive. But again, there's no shortage of them. Back in 2020 and 2021, when catalytic converter prices went bananas, why did they go bananas? Because everyone stopped working because of COVID. There was a lack of supply. Well, what happens when there's a lack of supply? Price goes up to create supply because the demand is there. And once the demand is satisfied, the pricing goes down. So catalytic converters are not an item that I would be holding right now. So overall, these markets, I think they're awesome. Anyone that's going to jump on my channel right now and say, oh, steel prices are bad. Well, we knew steel prices were going to be going down. Energy prices are up. Transportation costs are up. And the easiest person or item to take that market and the margins from, steel pricing for scrap. So, I just don't see things going crazy for steel, but the rest of the market, scrappers, if you think that they're not good markets, you and I have big disagreements. Check out some of the prices that people are reporting online for copper and insulated wire prices right now. Through the roof. Please, any of you that have been holding, praying that copper hits $7 a pound, if you ever want $7, you need copper at $7.70, $8. Go sell what you have, close to $6 a pound. Enjoy that cash. Go buy yourself something, tools, a grill. I don't care what it is, but stop holding that material. Scrappers, don't forget to check out our members only section. Try it for a month. See how you like it. See how you like some of the other videos. Any questions, let us know. We will be back here live on Wednesday the 19th at 1 p.m. But until then, I'll scrap you later.